Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.
Hello all, welcome to Ganesh IAS Academy. This is the special session. In this session, we are going to discuss about the previous year UPSC Prelims economic questions. Okay, so the session is purely focused on how to approach the upcoming prelims exam. Okay, how to solve the questions in the much more easier way, and also how to find the easiest question, also how to find the easy pattern questions also. Okay, so all things will be discussed here. Okay, and also how to eliminate the statements and also how to go for an answer. Okay, so all these things will be discussed here. Okay, so let's begin the session. Okay, so this question is all about the FRBM Act. Okay, so you have to know about what is FRBM. Okay, Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act. Okay, so what this act is aimed for? Okay, so why they introduced this act? Okay, actually they introduced this act in 2003. Okay, what is the need for introduction of this act? Okay, see, consider that how will you evaluate the government based on their performance? Okay, see, if you are a layman, okay, if you don't know much about the economy, okay, how will you evaluate the government? See, the people will evaluate the government based on the things, what are the things the government is providing to me. Okay, see, some state is providing the freebies of TV, okay, color TV, washing machines, and then cycles, okay, and some government are providing table fans. Okay, so these are the things the government is providing. Okay, so based on which, okay, most of the people will evaluate that this government is performing well. Okay, but in reality you shouldn't do that. Okay, the reason behind is, see, the government is performing, okay, they are providing a lot of freebies, means they are actually doing a revenue deficit. So what is revenue deficit? Which means the receipt is less than the expenditure. Okay, so what it means if the government is doing the expenditure of 1000 rupees means, but it is only getting 500 rupees as a revenue, okay, through the tax money or else through the fines, okay, or else through the fine fees, they will getting only 500 rupees, but they are doing the expenditure of 1000 rupees. Okay, that is called as revenue deficit. Okay, see, what the government is actually doing is they are doing a lot of revenue deficit and they are spending lot on the people as a freebies. Okay, so such a way the government is doing that, okay, to increasing their vote banks. Okay, but what the thing is happening is it will end up in the debt. Okay, it is creating the huge debt for the upcoming government. Okay, what if next 5 years if there is a new government, means they have to face all this burden. Okay, so for this 500 rupees of debt, the new government have to pay the interest payment. Okay, so for paying that interest payment, what the new government will do is they will increases the tax rate, they will increases the fine rate, they will increases the fees rate. Okay, so they may increases the tax rate from 30% to 40%, or else they will increases the fines for the, see, there is a, if you are going in a vehicle without a helmet, means the fine will be 1000 rupees. Okay, what if it is become as a 5000 rupees? What if it is going to become as a 10,000 rupees? At the end of the day, the future people, okay, so the next generation people, or else you in the next 5 years you have to pay it. Okay, so that thing will happens to you. Okay, so in present day you evaluate this government is performing well based on their welfare product, means that will end up as a negative things in the future for you. Okay, because of their huge debt. Okay, so to evaluate this debt, okay, what are the things the government is actually doing, how much the debt they are owning. Okay, so what are the negative things in future that may happen. Okay, so to evaluate all this thing, okay, they created a new act called as FRBM Act. Okay, so it is for the creation of transparency. transparency in the fiscal management. Okay, so if you are come to know that this much of debt this government is making means, then why you will go for a vote for that government? Okay, because in future that is going to end up on you as a tax money, okay, or else a tax rate, or else a fines, or else a fees, stamp duty, or something else. Okay, so to create a transparency towards the government, okay, so for that only this FRBM Act was introduced. Okay, so what are the things the government have to produce? Okay, so the government have to produce in the parliament as a medium term fiscal policy statement, macroeconomics framework statements, fiscal policy strategy statements. Okay, the act also requires the projections of revenue deficit, fiscal deficit, tax revenue, total outstanding liabilities as a percentage of the GDP in the medium term fiscal policy statement. Okay, so the government have to provide all these things. Okay, by that itself you can easily evaluate how much debt the government is actually making. Okay, so whether the government is performing well or not, that thing is easily can be evaluated by these statements. Okay, so for that only the FRBM Act was introduced, okay, in 2003. Okay, so to aim to introduce the transparency in the India's fiscal management, okay, and fostering the fiscal stability and providing the Reserve Bank of India flexibility to address the inflation. Okay, so for all these needs, they introduced fiscal responsibility and budget management act. Okay, so it is for a sustainable management of fiscal. Okay, so sustainability, okay, to not encroach the future generation fiscals. Okay, so for that only they introduced this FRBM Act. Okay, so what are the targets actually this FRBM Act provides a certain target. Okay, it is provided by encasing committee. Okay, this encasing committee provided certain targets. Okay, what are the targets? 60% of debt to GDP. So up to 60% for the general government. Okay, what is general government? Central government plus state government. Okay, so maximum debt of the general government. Okay, maximum debt percentage is only 60% of their GDP. Okay, so what is the general government means? Both the state government and the central government are united or a mutual thing. Okay, so for that they only have up to the debt of 60% only. Okay, in this the 60%, central government have the 40% and 20% state government. So central government can borrow up to 40%. Okay, state government as a whole can borrow up to 20%. Okay, so these are the targets set by the encasing committee. Okay, so if the government is having more than 40% means they have to reduce it and they are come into the ceiling of 40%. Okay, if the whole as the state, okay, all the states cumulatively having, okay, as a cumulatively they are having more than 20% means they also have to reduce their fiscal deficit and come into the ceiling of 20%. Okay, so such a way the target was set. Okay, so by that the government is asked to follow the target level. Okay, so for that only the encasing committee made a certain targets or recommendations. Okay, so these are the things you have to know. Okay, so with that try to answer this question. Okay, before that there are some other things. See, exemptions. Okay, there are certain exemption also the FRBM Act is providing. Okay, so you have to follow this 40% and 20% target rule. Okay, but if suppose, okay, if suppose the nation is facing any security level issue, okay, or else health level issue, okay, or else any war-like situation means at that time you have to spend a lot. Okay, so at that time period you don't need to follow this target. Okay, so such a way they provide certain exemptions. Okay, so consider that the COVID like situations, okay, at the time the government have to spend lot on the people for their health and their food needs. Okay, so at that time if the government is saying that no, I have to follow the FRBM procedure, so I won't spend means that will leads to the negative impact in the society. Okay, so the FRBM Act itself providing certain exemptions for that. Okay, so that is actually called as escape clause. Okay, this is also one of the question asked in the prelims. Okay, so escape clauses related to what? Okay, such a way they made a statement, and the options will have as planning commission, okay, Niti Aayog, FRBM Act, and none of them. So the answer is actually FRBM Act. So this FRBM Act is also providing certain exemptions to the targets. Okay, so that is called as escape clause. Okay, so that things also you have to know. Okay, then we will go for an answer. Consider the following statements. Okay, the first statement, the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Review Committee reports has recommended a debt to GDP ratio of 60% for the general combined government by 2023, comprising 40% for the central government, 20% for the state government. Yes, this statement is actually correct. So one is correct. Okay, so by that you can eliminate B. Okay, next, second statement. The central government has domestic liability of 21% of GDP as compared to that of 49% of GDP of state government. See, it is if the first statement is right, means the second statement is having some factual errors. Okay, state government is having 49%, but central government is having only 21%, means it is they are actually interchanged the statements. Okay, so by that itself you can eliminate the statement 2. Okay, so if you are eliminating 2 and the answer is 1, first statement is right, means either it will be A or C. Then you have to find that whether the third statement is right or wrong. Okay, as per the Constitution of India, it is mandatory for the state to take the central government's consent for raising any loan if the former owes any outstanding liability to the later. Yes, see, already the state government is made certain borrowings, means how they will go for another borrowing without the consent of the state central government. Okay, so this is certain logical questions. Okay, see, if the state government is continuously making any debt, means that will end up in the bankruptcy of the state government. So that is actually going to affect the nation only. Okay, so that is actually going to affect the central government only. Okay, so by that itself you can logically think. Okay, so by that itself the third statement is right. Okay, so as per the Constitution, it is mandatory for the state to take the central government's consent for raising any loans. This is actually correct. Okay, so the third statement is also right. So the answer is 1 and 3 only. So in this question we actually covered about lot of prelims topics. Okay, so the 60% and 40% for central government and 20% for the state government. What is FRBM Act, and also what are the report they have to submit. Okay, and also what is escape clause. Okay, so all these things are one and another they ask in the prelims. Okay, so you have to know that. Okay, so please more conscious on this type of question. It is one of the easiest questions. Okay, and it is all about the factual things. Okay, okay, so the answer will be the C, 1 and 3. Okay, thank you.